Hi, I am Andrea, and this is Empowered by Darkness, a podcast for anyone seeking to dive deep into all parts of themselves, especially the darker ones, to become empowered by the integration of these into uncovering your unique expression and purpose. Here we shed light on the self-hatred, the resentment, the need for validation and saving, the fear of being loved, the illusion of power and damaging patterns, and many more topics that will challenge you to bloom wherever you are currently planted. Welcome to your life's work. Take a seat and let's get started. Hi, welcome back to the Empowered by Darkness podcast. I am your host, Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me here today for another episode. It really doesn't miss me that I have been gone from this podcast for a while now, and that I was posting very sporadically before the passing of my mom. And the last episode on this platform was really to fill all of you in on what has been happening in my life as of late. I've been going through the biggest life transition of my entire life, really. And it has been very difficult. Really posting on this platform for me has been challenging to sit down and create content, to even come up with content. There have been a lot of things happening in my life, but I continue to be amazed at the support of my listeners and you continuing to come on here and check to see if I have uploaded anything new. It really means the world. And I wanted to bring you guys a gift today, just to thank you for being here still and continuing to want to hear what I have to share. So my gift for today is actually, I came up with this after listening to an audiobook that was recommended to me when my mom passed. A coach of mine recommended that I listen to the book called Experiments in Truth by Ram Dass. And it's like an audiobook. He recorded a lot of his speeches that he made in that audiobook, and he compiled them into a book. So I've been listening a lot to that book, and there's a lot of reflections that he has about life that he really puts into this amazing compilation, and I really recommend that you check it out if you're interested in just exploring more about different facets of life, like death, like relationships, to look at them from a more spiritual lens. Ram Dass is excellent at taking you there. But the title of the book really inspired today's podcast, which I have titled My Experiences of Truth Until Today. I am 24 years old, but I have lived a couple of different challenging experiences up until this day that have taught me a lot about life. And although I know that I still have a lot to uncover and discover about myself and about just the way that things go in our lifetime here on Earth, I feel like I have kind of a good grasp of certain teachings that I have seen other people talk about, but like anything that I promote on here, the way that you say things is always going to be different, and it's going to stand out, your perspective. And I always encourage people to just put their perspective out there, and I am following the advice that I give by doing that today, and putting my perspective of certain truths that I have seen in my life that are kind of like a hug to all of you, like a virtual hug. If I had all of you in front of me, I would share these, it's kind of like teachings, lessons that I have learned, because I think that they bring some comfort, no matter what situation you're finding yourself in right now. So this week we don't have a specific topic, but we do have a range of lessons that I have gathered that I think cover many different topics, like relationships, like self-esteem, death, just purpose, like all these different topics. I feel like the things that I have gathered for today's episode go into kind of what underlines all of these different things. So without further ado, I just wanted to dive right in. One of the first things that I jotted down that I wanted to talk about is the fact that we, as human beings, we go on always until our bodies falter. So what do I mean by that? We, and I mean the awareness behind our physical body, that remains no matter how dark things get in our lives. Our awareness may not appear like much when the world around us is changing beyond our understanding, beyond our immediate strength, or beyond our patience even. But our awareness, it remains. It is reliable. It is quite literally permanent, whether we want it to be or not. A lot of my listeners have gone through some heavy things in their life that have pushed them to the point of questioning, what do we do when we continue to go on? Meaning we're still living, but we feel constrained by our circumstances. The truth is that we can not control our circumstances, but we can control our awareness. And when we feel that we cannot, it is likely that there's an emotion that's influencing this thought. It could be fear, anger, frustration, especially I think when there's the experience of death of a loved one, or simply losing something that's important to us. Emotions that are stirred by these experiences, they really change and they direct the flow of where our awareness goes. So for example, anger, the emotion of anger, it directs our attention to everything that is unfair about the world whenever we lose something that's important to us. I don't know if you have ever heard of people that actually fall into very deep depths of anger in themselves that they continue to want to feel because it's influencing their awareness to look for things that reinforce that anger that they feel comfortable in experiencing in their entire being. So a lot of the times when people get into wanting to direct their attention to everything that's unfair, they come up with these truths in their life that reinforce this, like looking at people that are starving on the street, like all of the people that are homeless, that are just, it's a great amount. And they look at children that like get diseases like cancer, and they think, well, I'm right. You see, things are really unfair and unjust, and I am right to feel this anger. And that emotion is, as you can see, it's so strong. It's like directing our attention towards everything that reinforces that. And that's our awareness. Our awareness goes there. But since our awareness, or in more spiritual terms, I think I like to call it like our soul, because when everything else gets stripped down, and I mean like when everything else in your life changes, like let's say that you get sick and you are not able to fulfill all of the identities that you had in your life before, like you're not able to be like a worker. You're not able to go to work anymore because you're sick. That identity is gone. You're not able to be like a family provider because that identity is not able to be sustained due to your illness. That identity is gone. The identity of perhaps being like a parent is gone because you're now the one that's being cared for. That's gone. So what's left when all of those identities fade is your awareness. So that really stays until the last moment before your physical body dies. The awareness, it really can come to get tired of resting so heavily on something that digs us deeper into despair and into confusion. That is when we often make the decision to be aware of something else, of something we could have neglected all along. Like the love that remained in us and around us, even when the person that we loved the most left the world. And this is not like neglecting that death is often final and it's very painful. It's just acknowledging that we continue to go on. We are still here and we have a life to live until we will one day not have it. And in the meantime, where will we choose to look? Where will we choose to focus our gaze? The power of awareness, sometimes it often eluded me. Like I would completely miss what people like Ram Dass, when he talks about awareness, when like Michael Singer, when he talks about awareness, like it would be kind of like the way they explained it was the breath inside the breath, like the person looking within your own being, like meaning that inside of who you're presenting yourself to be to the world, inside of the gaze that everyone can see, there is the you that is looking out into the world from within. The you that whenever you do something, you are looking at what you're doing and you're aware of it. Like, for example, if I were to be in an argument with someone and I would say something to the person like that was hurtful, the me within that was observing that would be doing the action, but judging it at the same time. So there's that ability to like self-check, self-regulate. And we do that all the time. Like we have an awareness that is permanent, sometimes to our detriment because we don't know that we are assessing and we are making judgments all of the time. And it hurts us sometimes, the judgments that we make. But with something as like serious and life-changing as death, with any kind of transition that you guys might be going through, I know that like my listeners go through some very tough transitions in their lives. With anything that is that heavy in life, sometimes, like I said, it strips down everything else, like every other identity you might have that is comfortable to get behind and ignore the despair, the pain, everything that comes up from the difficult experience. When everything that you hide behind gets stripped down, awareness remains. It's quite literally the one thing that no one can take from you. Not even death, like death of a loved one, which is sometimes what people associate with like one of the most traumatic experiences that anyone can experience. So that was one of my kind of experiences of truth that I've had, that I wanted to share. The next one is that we are not dealt cards that we cannot handle. We are actually dealt cards that are purposefully crafted to make us believe that we will fail to go on. But the reality is that this difficult essence of these things that we are being dealt with in our lives, they are usually met with an equally powerful presence inside of us if we are willing to take the time for this presence to be revealed to us. And a lot of the times there's like trial and error that happens with us in trying to come to terms with how we are going to face this difficult experience. But with time, and if we are patient, something changes in us that comes to meet the difficult circumstance with powerful, like, the way that I'm thinking about it is we do not know who we are until we are pushed to discover it. There's like this understanding that we don't know everything about our spiritual strength until life events demand for us to explore further, to ask the tough questions, and to make the lifestyle shifts. And when we do this, we come to see unknown parts of us emerge and step up. But these were always within us. We just needed to experience the unthinkable to even consider that we may be more than what we convinced ourselves we were. You may have convinced yourself that you don't have the ability to keep going after losing the career or the financial foundation that you have built for yourself after years of hard work. And this belief could very well be a part of your identity that you desperately try to hold on to, because it makes sense and it feeds the idea that these daily efforts that you're putting forth to keep working towards securing this achievement, it feeds the idea that there's direction in your life and there's efforts that are amounting to something. And human beings, due to the nature of how we are and how we rely so much on seeing things physically occur, we like to see that what we're doing is amounting to something. So it's perfectly normal to feel like you will not know what can arise within you to withstand losing what you've been working for, perhaps all of your life. But you are not this identity. You are not any identity for that matter. What you are is the initiative to build the career and the financial security. What you are is the hard work. What you are is the dedication. You are the diligence. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can ever take these things from you. They remain because you remain. So let me say this, fear not what can go wrong to threaten what you have built for yourself, but fear that you will fail to remember who you are. Because that's when you're really lost, when you fail to remember what you are capable of. Because you can be stripped down to losing everything that you have built physically. You can be stripped down of all of it. You can lose everything tomorrow. And you can feel like that is your biggest fear, to lose this. And I'm not going to say it's not going to hurt and it's not going to be destabilizing and it's not going to send you into perhaps some bouts of depression. But what you should really, really fear is not remembering who you were when you built all of that for yourself. What you should fear is not remembering who you were when you decided to put your heart out there and love somebody fully without anticipating them hurting you the way they did. So you shouldn't fear being hurt again by someone. You should fear not ever tapping again into that ability to love someone unconditionally. Because that is the identity that you should hold on to, because that is who you are. That's your essence. Like, nothing can take that away from you. And sure, there can be life experiences that throw what's physically built from those aspects of who you are. But who you are, that's always going to be with you, no matter what. So remember, let me reiterate what I just said. Fear not what can go wrong to threaten what you have built for yourself or what you desire, like love. But fear that you will fail to remember who you are. Okay, my third experience and truth. Leave everything here while you still have your physical body. Don't hold on to anything. People are actually looking to be guided and inspired by those that have stepped beyond their fear and their self-consciousness to bring forth truth. The kind of truth that makes you reflect on what the meaning of all of this suffering and this happiness, what all of it means, everything in between. What does it mean when we're still here, living on this earth? A person might never admit that they feel seen and validated by your willingness to be your full self, but they will listen to you, and you would have planted a seed. And sometimes you have to be okay with not getting any recognition for doing just that, because you aren't doing it to see someone praise you. You are doing it because not doing it would feel like living below your true joy and your true fulfillment, living below your true self. And when you die, the people you planted seeds for will cover your memory with these beautiful gardens that have come about from that one seed that was nurtured and watered by other individuals that dared to leave it all while they were still here. They didn't hold back on what they had to say. They didn't hold back on the stories that they wanted to share about their life. They didn't hold back on giving their testimony to the world to help at least one person water the seed inside of them that was yearning to be watered, in order for them to think that their life had a meaning. Because everybody's life has a meaning, has a purpose. But sometimes other individuals have to show that one person the way. We don't take anything with us in our final hours here, and it inevitably becomes about what we leave behind. So leave your honest truth, leave it boldly, leave it lovingly. Time is not assured for anyone, and the more we convince ourselves that it is, the more we forget that we have to give in this moment because it matters. That's where true connection grows from, and connection of any kind is also what remains in the end. Not our physical accomplishments or whatever assets we accumulate, only the connections that we nurtured or that we failed to nurture. We can breathe parts of our essence into connections that we leave behind, for them to live on, for us to live on through them. Live on through what you choose to share and give of your heart, so that who stays behind will be a living testament that you were here, that you existed here. Okay, my fourth experience in truth is to tell you all to not fear, because you are ever evolving. What you fear will not break you if you recognize that in this lifetime, we never stop growing and changing into versions of ourselves that can contain the unthinkable. You can hold the unthinkable within you if it ever is to come. If that person cheats on you or leaves unexpectedly, if you lose a loved one, if you get ill, if you lose your home or all of your friends, these events fundamentally alter the foundation of your life, but they are not all of your foundation. You forget that they are only what you once knew. Beneath the hurt of losing the familiar is an understanding that you go on. You get to dig deeper into your personal and your spiritual toolbox, or you simply remain in place until the water comes above you and drowns you in grief, and it calls you to dig deeper. The call to dig deeper into yourself is the call of our lifetime here, of our limited time here on earth. At some point, you must come to appreciate the process of digging more than the stability of just having this immovable foundation all of the time. Because it is in the digging that you actually evolve, and that you get to the places, the people, and the things that you could have never thought of wanting or feeling at home in. This is because you took the time to look within when all else was falling apart. Never forget that the biggest tragedy is you losing heart and failing to realize that you can continue to move forward. This life is not meant to bring you to your knees for you to stay there forever. My fifth experience in truth. There is only one you. In this lifetime, realize that you are the key to every experience that you will ever have. Nothing can come to weigh on you if you don't give significance to it. If you could feel your power, you would not be in a constant search to have someone validate your choices or your way of seeing things. At any moment, you can turn back to you. You can choose to build your self-trust and your confidence and assert yourself in every difficulty that may come up. And this does not have to come easy, of course. In fact, most of the time, it will be a lifelong journey. But it will be the single most important one of your existence here, because it all begins and it all ends with you. How are you taking in this current life of yours? Where are you forgetting that though some things are directly outside of your control, many aren't? No one will tell you how capable you are of walking away and choosing peace unless they have made the choice themselves. And if you know you are surrounded by people that have not taken the time and the effort to do this, then you have to change who you are surrounded with. If you know you lack the strength to take the initiative on your own. This is your life, nobody else's, not even the life of those that depend on you. Yes, these people, they are an extension of you, but they are not to be used as a reason for not seeking that which will leave you feeling the love and the care that you deserve and that you are worthy of, to make those that depend on you feel that you know how to take care of you, and they will learn from you how to take care of themselves. They will not pick up the moments in which you have forsaken yourself. You are worthy of making those that you leave behind when you leave this earth feel that they have your essence living within them, and that essence inspires them to keep going and to choose better for themselves. Because you set the example much, much before anything ever occurred to them, that they could need something to look back to and get inspiration from. The way that you're living your life right now, it's a reflection of the time that you take to look within. And like I said, it all begins and it all ends with you. Okay, my next reflection. At some point, it will become clear to you that the more you let go of trying to influence someone in any way for your own sake, to help you either feel more at ease with your internal experience or to just feel like things are moving in the right way, the more that you let go of that, the more the person you're trying to change is just going to show up, and they're going to stop exercising so much resistance. And of course, the latter can happen, where they could continue to be absent and they could continue to be unreliable, but this doesn't turn into a struggle in which you want to hold on so desperately to the reaction you want from them that you actually miss out on who the person is choosing to be in that moment. They're showing you who they are. And you must take it upon yourself to release control of another. Releasing control is not excusing their actions or condoning the way they treat you or someone you care about. It's just acknowledging that some things are, and they have nothing to do with you or with them. People are on their own path of understanding all of the time. You are not responsible for the way they should be, and you owe it to yourself to not spend a lifetime molding someone into who they should be and not who they're naturally showing up to be. Through their own healing and through their own eventual dedication to growing, that's how they come to perhaps one day be what you wanted from them all along. But that's no longer your journey to walk through with them if it's not your desire to do so. Okay. Next experience and truth for me until today. Have patience with coming to God when your time is right. No one can be convinced to seek God or to believe in God until they themselves understand the weight of not having this. The thing about God is that there is never any judgment. There is never a why did it take you so long to arrive. Time doesn't even exist. Where your heart is, that's where God meets you. And in the moments when you hurt and you don't know how to make it stop, and God is the last thing on your mind, He's still there, present, patient, aware of everything, but never judging. We are often the ones that do the judging, because to us, time and movement matter so much. But there is a stillness to faith, to trusting that when nothing physically moves, our internal self is being fortified and advanced to see clearer, to hold others more compassionately, and to finally let go and surrender into everything that is. God enters when we become still. And when He does, it cracks open every shield and every armor, and we become vulnerable, but strong in our vulnerability, because that is the power of God. Finally, my last experiment or experience in truth is to give yourself infinite grace. I don't think that most of the difficult things that we go through are actually permanent. They may feel that way at times, but if we do an inventory of our life until now, more likely than not, our difficult experiences had expiration dates. Every single person living today has an element of hurt inside of them, and we are interconnected in that way. There isn't a part of us that doesn't deep down crave understanding and care, that doesn't seek familiarity and connection, because these energies, what they bring to us is this lightness, a lightness that can at times feel scarce with the pervasiveness of suffering all around us and the people closest to us. But if we can accept that you and I are hurting for one reason or another, can we also accept that we are not all darkness? We are the space in between. We are the grace, the patience waiting to be treated like another valuable entity, like one that weighs just as much as the extremes of sorrow and of joy. In the in-between lies our humanity, lies where we come to rest until the storm passes. And this is a very real place. It's a very worthy one. It doesn't mean that we have given up or that we are not trying to get to the joy, to get to the other side of sorrow. It just means that we are welcoming a full experience of life and its many ups and downs. So seek the in-between more often, and it will surprise you how you gain a richer appreciation for yourself and for others. That's how we discover what being interconnected means. And it's beautiful and it's eye-opening. And it creates this huge expansion in your heart to just accept things for what they are. So I wanted to conclude with a quote from Rumi, the poet Rumi. I have been reading his poetry a lot recently, and this is a quote that I thought was very relevant to concluding today's episode. So the quote says, "Now is the time to unite the soul and the world. Now is the time to see the sunlight dancing as one with the shadows." I would say that any time that you choose can be the time to bring together the soul that is looking out into the world to the way that you show up as you're going through that world. So these things do not have to be separate. You do not have to exist in a state, in a reality in which you feel that who is interacting with the world is not really who is looking out into every interaction, into every experience. You can join both of these things, and you can exist in that freedom, because it really is freedom. I wish that I could translate to all of you listening the realization that washed over me when I lost my mom. The realization that our time is not as great as we imagine it to be, meaning that it's not as long as we think we have. And I'm not saying this to be like negative or to be pessimistic, but really, we are living every single day without knowing if it's going to be our last. And if you could only see the way that people gather around you once you're gone. People gather and all they have is the remembrance of the way that you showed up. So let's all agree today as we're listening, to this podcast. I know it's quite different format from my other episodes, but can we all agree that at any moment we can make the decision to show up differently, to show up in a way that's going to bring us peace and freedom? Let's do it now. Let's not wait until this person changes or this circumstance improves or we feel like we're up for it. Let's do it now. I am sending you all of my love. Thank you for staying until the end of the episode. And I cannot wait to talk to you in the next episode. Thank you. There is no right time to begin working on the parts of ourselves we may have neglected for the majority of our lives. If you're here, it is for a reason. I am so proud of you for asking the tough questions and delving into what comes of these. May you find the deepest healing and transformation on this path. Thank you.